Agrawal, and my research question is, to what extent do Christian values influence family dynamics? So it's my table of contents. So, in 2024, Trump became the president, won the presidential election, claiming the second term in office. Hannah Dick, a professor from Carleton University, has found that many evangelical Christians have voted for Donald Trump as they believe in Trump's silent majority, as they believe that they have been repressed for a long time and thus wish to bring back their Christian values back into society. Additionally, Trump's impacts on U.S. citizens will be prevalent through executive orders pushing conservative and Christian values into society, which will overall leak into societal and cultural values, overall affecting how the family dynamics are impacted. So, for my connections to the stimulus package, my first one is the nostalgia for the good old days. Specifically with evangelical Christians in the 1960s and the 1970s, they had a great Christian bring back of many Christian values, but as time went on and more modern values and progressive values were implemented into U.S. society, there was a decline in Christian values in just religiosity in general. And now, with Trump bringing back this idea of making America great again, many evangelical Christians have believed that by bringing back Christian values, America can be brought back into a period of stability and just pure happiness. And my other source, my stimulus connection is with source 6, which is different perspectives on the same events. Specifically, by bringing back Christian values in a modern society, we have two perspectives on Christian values. First, we have traditionalists who believe that by bringing back Christian values, this will bring back family stability in just a failing modern world. While progressive individuals would believe that we are bringing back outdated values into a modern society that needs adaptable and flexible values. Thus, with evangelical Christians finally having an opportunity to push their values back into society, it is important that we have to reevaluate how Christian values will intermingle specifically with family dynamics in a modern world. Thus, while Christian values have provided stability to traditional families, their focus on patriarchal and heterosexual norms make them incompatible with modern ideas of family. Thus, Christian values should be reinterpreted by church pastors to be more inclusive for diverse families. So, first we need to be able to define how is the family directly affected by these Christian values. So, Seth Dowling, an associate professor from Pacific Lutheran Family, defines a family as such. It is a heterosexual Christian marriage between a man and a woman, and in this scenario, we have the husband, and he is the head of the house, and he is the breadwinner. And then we have the wife, who is primarily the caretaker and the stay-at-home, who takes care of domestic responsibilities and making sure the children are safe. And usually in a Christian family, they promote this need for offspring or children and to bring them up according to biblical teachings. So looking at the effects of how these Christian values do affect the family, looking first at family stability, specifically divorce rates, we find that Cal and Houghton have found that religious couples are 35% less likely than non-religious couples to be divorced. And Mahoney, a professor from Bowling Green State University, found that couples who view marriage as this divine and sacred combination are 25% less likely to divorce compared to couples who don't. So it is clearly effective in showing that it encourages individuals to stay in marriage and not divorce, seeing this as sacred and just very important in their lives. At the same time, though, we need to look at the impact on gender roles and women within those relationships. Specifically, at the same time, while it does have the ability to empower women, it can also constrict women. For example, with women who are taking on domestic roles, according to Leavitt, a professor from Brigham Young University, 68% of women feel spiritually valued in taking on domestic responsibilities. At the same time, though, Leavitt also found that this also reinforces transitional gender roles, with showing that the man is the primary caregiver and is divinely ordained by God to be head of the household, creating this sort of imbalance between man and woman. Additionally, we need to look at the structures, look at how this affects other forms of structures, not just heterosexual, but also homosexual structures, and also LGBTQ plus structures. Specifically and historically, we have this idea in the past that same-sex marriage was just abhorred and looked down upon by Christian values. But in more modern times, this has actually changed and has become more nuanced. As Samuel Perry from the University of Oklahoma and Andrew Whitehead from the University of Indiana has found that while the specific sexual relations of the aspect in same-sex marriage is still looked down upon by Christian values and by Christians alike, at the same time, the marriage aspect is actually fine with some Christians. Some Christians are fine with this. And also the adoption aspect, adopting children while being gay or having two husbands or two wives at the same time. And so this shows that while there is still a foundational idea that same-sex relationships continue to be rejected, this still shows that there's flexibility and the potential for modern values to merge and mix with Christian values to create this new and more progressive and just more accepting idea of Christianity. So my solution to this is that it is apparent that Christian values are somewhat flexible. So what we can do is first we can have a reinterpretation of Christian values and ideas while re-looking at biblical scriptures in a more progressive and diverse aspect and light. And then next we also target pastors by telling these pastors to tell their communities to these ideas. As Brian Harrison from the University of Minnesota has found, the religious leader support for same-sex marriage increased congregate acceptance by 11.2%. And additionally, we need to have gradual acceptance of passing on these messages to the religious communities. And there's still three main limitations to this. The first one is that this is gradual change. With Trump immediately putting an executive order, this means that there's still going to be some immediate change and won't be able to block out some of the negative effects from passing out these immediate and constricting beliefs. Second, some denominations may not be accepting of such beliefs, and we can't force everyone to believe in what we believe. Everyone has the right to their own beliefs. And third, there's this social impact, in the sense that this has to be done by the people. The government itself cannot enforce the students or the people to believe in a particular way, as that would be going against the First Amendment. Thus, it is up to us, the citizens, to make sure that we are more aware and accepting of each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about your evidence. What evidence did you gather that you did not use, that you chose to leave out? And why did you choose not to use it?
Okay. So one of my evidences was from Gilson, which is from his paper Family Values versus Valuing Families of Choice. And so he compared the values of families from Christian families and also modern families. And while this would be very important in showing the differences between why there's so different Christian values and current modern values, there's not really much statistical evidence I could be using in this argument.
Thank you. The level of certainty you have about your conclusion, your solution, or your recommendation, how certain are you that this solution is realistic?
I'll say I accounted for many of the limitations in that it's gonna have to take time. Everyone may not be on board with this, but this has to be more of a cultural and societal change. Everyone has to try taking in their part, trying to gradually accept each other and gradually accept like these values, because we can't just force people to believe what they are. So I would say while it is realistic, it would be hard to implement in a more national and global scale, although this can be done through social media, as social media can reach this message and these ideas to millions of people.
Thank you very, very much. I'm going to let you go to lunch at 12:21, and I'm going to get our guy here.
Well, I'm recording him, bro.
Those of you that haven't